The Boss Baby, family business. Yes, everyone's favorite diaper-wearing infantile boss is back and is leading the charge for an even bigger business venture. And I'm talking about the cartoon, by the way, not the orange one. He is never coming back. Anyways, when it comes to the first film, I'll just say right now that I am not a fan. In fact, I consider this to be one of the worst DreamWorks films next to Shark Tale. Sure, it does have some things going for it, like nice animation and good voice acting, but other than that, this movie offers almost nothing. It was so dependent on its novelty of the Alec Baldwin baby that the rest is just this unappealingly bland and quickly forgettable animated film. However, since this baby is all about business, it certainly proved me wrong on that front. More than $500 million at the box office, a successful Netflix series, and an Oscar nomination later, The Boss Baby quickly got promoted to become the latest money-making franchise for DreamWorks. And with all that capital Ted made for the company, of course he's gonna return for an encore to keep the baby business booming. So now that Tim and Ted are off on another excellent adventure, will the sequel be as grand as the franchise's numbers, or will this still be as pleasant as changing a poopy diaper? Let's find out. The story. It doesn't matter if you've planned out your experience by watching either the first film or the Netflix series beforehand. There is nothing that can prepare you for the madness that this movie has in store. Family Business is the cartoon equivalent of a kid that's on a major sugar rush. Always running at high speeds, whatever it says mostly makes no sense, and you often never know what to expect next. And if you haven't seen at least the first movie, then tough luck. It doesn't bother to fill in the context for newcomers, and all that'll do is add in some extra layers to the insanity. And it doesn't waste time to immediately get weird. Once Tim starts talking to his sentient wizard clock, there is no going back. That's when the movie begins its one-way trip to Crazy Town.
The difference in try and triumph is just a little upsies. I need upsies.
This could be a make or break deal for some, but as you've probably guessed, the film has the sensation of a roller coaster where the action and the pace are ridiculously grand and so fast that you might need to take a breather after that viewing. And even when things start to seem calm, that's when it introduces new ideas and new elements that come right out of nowhere to add onto the story to give its audience even more things that they'll need to register that what they saw just happened. Of course, being a wild ride does have its benefits, but this is a case where the movie is a little more style over substance. When you take away the wacky tone, there's not a whole lot of an actual story that's in there, and whatever story there is in the first place is a little weak. To sum it up, Tim and Ted have to turn back into their younger selves to stop an evil school founder from starting a revolution for babies to rule the world. As unexpected as this movie can be, the narrative is the one thing that is predictable. With the kind of kids movie that this is, of course it'll find a way to give everyone a happy ending. It doesn't hide its outcome well when the goals are obvious with its prominent theme of family. But dang it, does it try to make this feature heartfelt. Other than its out-of-control tone, one tactic it uses to make the movie engaging is the heart by emphasizing the bond between the brothers and between Ted and his daughter Tabitha. I'll say now that it's been done better in many other animated films, mostly due to how the characters here aren't that strong to be attached to, but there is an admirable effort to give the movie a soul, where that theme of family, while predictable, is what motivates the viewer to want to see good triumph over evil, and shows some relatability for families to help be closer with each other. Also, I'll add that with all of its craziness, it also supplies some comedy that is hit and miss. There are some that do fall flat, but then there are times when the jokes are surprisingly funny. Mostly from the unexpected nature of the film, but that doesn't change that they do work and help make this a bit enjoyable. Yes, the writing kind of sucks by focusing more on being crazy than to tell a story, but I'll give it that it does try to be more than just a cash grab. The animation. As much as I don't like the predecessor, I'll hand it that one good thing that did come out of it was its animation. It wasn't the best since it did hold back from presenting some real potential with it, but it does deliver a unique and charming style that no other recent computer animated features tried out. In the sequel, on the other hand, the animators held nothing back and let out all they could do to really make the most out of the animation style. Just like in the first, the visuals are a throwback to the graphic designs that were highly prominent back in the 1950s, where studios and acclaimed animators like UPA, Chuck Jones, and Ward Kimball all stepped back from realism and dominated the industry with abstract visuals that are simpler to emphasize the use of lines and colors. Sounds tricky for a 3D film to do, right? Well, the main thing to emphasize here is the abstract and that this is a movie about babies. The babies are featured more in the designs, where the characters are more round in their shapes and have bigger eyes and pupils to give them a cuter and more approachable look. As for the abstract part, that's where it gives the movie the license to be more cartoony, to really play with the squash and stretch to emphasize the visual comedy and the poses to be a lot more dynamic to sell the mood, especially when most of the film continuously bounces off the walls.
This formula will give you a second chance at childhood.
My dick's sting here! I'm better with this kind of thing! What kind of thing? Flock of seagulls? Everything!
If there is one element in the animation that they improved from the original, it's that the environment is a lot more creative. Beforehand, other than Baby Corp, the places they were in were mostly a forgettable typical suburban area. But in Family Business, the movie is primarily set in this creatively high-tech school for smart kids called Acorn Center, where advanced technology is used to educate and monitor the kids in a colorful and futuristic way, along with hiding a secret area where the villain conducts his evil plans for revolution. But the biggest highlight of the animation is whenever the picture enters the realm of imagination. In several instances, whether it be from Tim or Tabitha, that's when the 1950s style comes into play, where the colors and lines significantly pop out and the designs are flattered to separate itself from its casual world to something more fantastical to truly present how its style stands out from the other animated films of today. But of course, since I did talk a lot about its zany tone, that is mainly caused by the animation, letting everything out for the style to be at its most cartoony, at its fastest pace, and let out every effect it knows to make the movements as wild as possible. I understand that some could say they are the best parts as much as the imagination scenes are, but there will be times when they could feel too much and be more exhausting to watch than it is exhilarating. It could do the job well, but sometimes it could go too extreme with it. But then again, at least it doesn't go too far to the point of being unwatchable, and compared to the first, this is a much better example of what its animation is capable of. The characters. Ever since the franchise's beginnings, the main selling point has always been about the babies and how they are in charge like an executive, with Alec Baldwin perfectly suited to be the little big boss. However, as it is set in a new generation, new characters come into play to continue the legacy of the boss baby. Yes, some do come back, but they are not like how they were before, that is for sure. Along with Ted, who is still his Alec Baldwin-style self as the egotistical business tycoon, his older brother Tim is now the father of a family who never lost his inner child to use his imagination to creatively raise them. However, he is still the typical worrying father who is concerned about his older daughter growing up to the point of becoming distant from him. Also, I'd like to add how weird it is to hear James Marsden playing him. Nothing wrong with Marsden himself, he did a fine job. It's just kind of strange jumping from the first to this, where you go from Miles Bakshi playing the role with Tobey Maguire playing as the adult version.
He carries a briefcase. Does no one else think that's, I don't know, a little freaky?
Well, sweetie, that's how I remember it. But you know what I found out?
What?
There's plenty of love for everyone.
Even me?
Especially you.
To this new version that sounds distinctly different.
What's stressing you out so much?
My dad.
Embarrassed of him?
Oh, it's not that. I just want him to be proud of me.
Speaking of Tim's family, while his wife and his parents are there just to be either his emotional support or for plot convenience, there is Tabitha, the oldest kid who has the attitude of growing up so quickly and feels ready to act like an adult that's prepared to go to her new school. It's honestly perplexing how they built her because her character and the relationship with her dad sounds like she's gonna be going off to college on her own, but she's actually just 7. I get that she's supposed to be a genius, but there is a difference between a smart kid and someone growing up, and it's like the movie is kind of confusing the two in some parts. Along with Tabitha, there is Tim's youngest daughter, Tina, the new boss baby of the picture who runs the operations like an eccentric school teacher, or more accurately, Amy Sedaris in a baby's body. And then there's Dr. Armstrong, the new villain of the picture who runs the school and wants to rule the world with his baby revolution. Among everyone in the cast, Armstrong is the weirdest because, like Baldwin and Sedaris, he's just an evil Jeff Goldblum. And the more you discover his motives and who he truly is, the more bonkers his character becomes that could even overshadow the fact that he is voiced by Jeff Goldblum. In fact, his existence alone adds to the feature's outrageous nature. However, I do want to point out the common problem with all of them, that they are one-dimensional. When looking past their one trait or the novelty of the celebrity voice, they don't offer a whole lot of substance to the picture. They're not terrible or anything, but they are easily forgettable, which is why the heart is not as strong as it was meant to be. The effort of the bonding was there, but not the characters themselves to have the audience care about the bonding. This is one of those movies that depend on the use of celebrities to make their characters, but not capable of making the characters stand out on their own. To be honest, I had low expectations for this film. Like, I was ready to hate this thing and dreaded to return seeing that baby on the big screen again. And as I thought, the Boss Baby family business has a lot of aspects that make it about as forgettably bland as the original, especially with the little amount of story and character development that offered nothing to remember by so that it could fit most of the film with this out-of-control attitude. However, to my complete shock, I found that there are some things that are not only worth giving credit to, but they also make this better than the first, like the animation doing a great job showcasing its unique style, moments that can be funny, and it's noticeable that the filmmakers wanted to put some heart with its theme of family. Of course, I won't say that you should go watch this, but it actually wouldn't hurt to check this out, at least for all the cool things they do with the animation and to experience the madness. I mean, this is a Boss Baby sequel. Not many are gonna come in expecting this to be the next DreamWorks masterpiece. But I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is honestly not that bad.
I hate to interrupt. I mean, it's a riveting conversation, but why don't you both suck it?